Welcome to Utah Shotokan. Today we're going to talk about uke, or blocking techniques. And what I want to get across is there's not really any blocking in Shotokan. Everything's an attack. But we do have ways to defend ourselves, and those defenses are called uke. Receiving is what uke means. It doesn't mean block, it means just to receive. Like somebody throws a ball, and you're going to receive that ball. Well, you don't want to just stand there and let the ball hit you. That's going to hurt. So you capture it, and you absorb some of that energy. Now, there are three ways we can receive an attack. We can evade it, just get completely out of the way. That's the safest, of course. We can deflect that attack. So we push it off our body line, and it doesn't hurt us. And we can absorb attacks. If the person is not bigger, stronger, faster than you, you might have a chance of just taking some of that, absorbing it into your body, and being able to protect yourself. The great thing is when we are in a violent self-defense situation, we have a lot of adrenaline. We're not going to feel as much pain. You'll feel it tomorrow, but for the moment, you're going to be okay. So we can absorb a lot of that energy into our body if we do it properly. I'm going to be dealing mostly with hand shodan today. All the kata have different attacks in them, and a lot of them are called blocks. Today we'll just talk about hand shodan only. And there are 4 attacks in hand shodan. We have a hammer fist, we have a knife hand, we have a framing, and we have a punch. That's it. And we'll see that the hammer fist and the knife hand are really the same technique, just with an open hand or a closed hand. So that brings us down to 3 general types of attack. So the kata is not really that sophisticated. All the kata have some kind of theme to them. So, for example, with the heian kata, the first heian kata, heian shodan, we're looking really at a bigger person fighting a smaller person. In heian nidan, a smaller person fighting a bigger person. Heian sandan, we're trying to capture somebody. Heian yondan, somebody has some more body armor, or we can't hurt their body, like maybe they have a leather coat on. Heian godan, we're getting into standing grappling. So we want to keep that theme in mind as we practice how to use the techniques in that kata. So today, my wife Karen is here to help me, and she's smaller than me, so I will be demonstrating the heian shodan, bunkai, and oyo. Bunkai is analyzing the kata, oyo is applying that analysis to self-defense. So we're going to be looking at those techniques and how do we receive an attack, and then how do we counter the attack. That is our primary goal. All right, so if we were working together, we're going to demonstrate first just standing here and move very slowly so that you can see where the arms are going and what's happening. I'll demonstrate it on both sides of the body so that you'll be able to see from inside and outside what's going on. I'll move a little bit closer so we don't have to walk and step into each other. Actually, step in, we'll get centered on the camera. Okay. So in this case, most pre-fights in violent encounters, not a bar fight with your buddies where you're yelling at each other, but a lot of times the attacker begins in this pre-fight position where their hands are forward and down, fists are clenched, chest is out, chin is out a little bit, and they're in an aggressive posture. It's amazing how often that is the case. People do not come up to you on the street and say, "I'm going to rob you." It just doesn't happen. They come up and get in your space to intimidate you first, to see if you're a victim or a fighter. If you put up a fight, most of them will run off. So this is the pre-fight position. You'll notice it looks a lot like yoi. When we come into kata, we go to here. And that is a pre-fight position that you actually see in violent encounters. So Karen will be in this pre-fight position, a little bit more aggressive than yoi, and I will just be in my regular yoi for now. And the idea is when an attack comes in, we are going to deflect it, not block it. So if you come in with this hand, it's coming here toward the chin. We know in Gerambarai, down block, we bring the arm across. And if I bring the hand to the ear, like you're always told, it's going to bring my elbow across the front of my body, protecting me here and deflecting the attack. If she were to punch lower, like the chest, it would still deflect that attack. If she were to punch even lower, like the lower ribs or the liver, I would have to crunch down a little bit to bring my hip bone up to my elbow to cover that 4 or 5 inches below and turn my body slightly, but it would still deflect. But I'd also absorb a little bit probably. And that's okay because it's going to glance off of me. So this would be the defense. I'm not blocking as much as I am deflecting this attack to set me up for an attack because I want to counter. And the downward block is a prototype movement of a hammer fist strike. That's all it is. So if we go back, downward block comes up and down. It's really just a hammer strike. Where the hammer hits depends on where the elbow points. So I can strike low. I can raise my elbow and strike a little higher, raise my elbow and strike a little higher. The great thing about the hammer fist strike is we use it at distance, so I can get a lot of action on that hammer fist. And if I hit something, it could hurt my hand if I use the back of my hand or an open hand, but with the bottom of my fist, I can hit just about anything. I can hit concrete walls pretty hard and not hurt my hand. And even 2-year-olds will bang on things with the bottom of their fists because they know that doesn't hurt them. So just that wild swing, I can hit anything. I could hit a shoulder, I could hit a skull, I could hit the stomach, and I won't hurt myself, which is not a bad thing when that first attack comes in and I'm freaking out and I don't know what's happening. So just this part here does the deflection and it sets you up for the attack. That's the point of this Gedan Burai. And who cares where the hammer fist goes? In the kata, we're always doing it in the same place. But just consider it a prototype for hitting anywhere. But it's not blocking. What we will not ever see in a real fight is something like this. Like throw a punch stomach, this. That is never going to happen. You don't have time for that. So that first motion is the defense, and it's a deflection with sometimes absorbing. Now, if we do that same mechanism, except we'll do it in Kihon or basic. So if you step back, I will just start in Yoi, just basics. One thing we don't do in our dojo is 3-step sparring, 5-step sparring, because we don't step back. Stepping back doesn't make any sense. If I'm being attacked by a violent attacker, they do not tend to throw a punch and wait. They throw a punch, they throw another punch, they throw another punch, they throw another punch until I am unconscious or knocked down. So if I back up, I'm going to keep backing up until I fall. So I don't want to do that. I need to move in, or I need to move to the side. That way I can take control of this match as quickly as possible. So if I'm just standing here, when that first attack comes in basics, face, I can just turn my body like I'm doing Gedan Burai, hand comes up, I deflected this attack. No problem. Back. If it comes into the chest, it would be the same thing. I just turn my body slightly, get my hand to my ear, and I've deflected the attack. Back. If for some reason it was a low attack to under my rib cage, remember I'm going to have to crunch down a little bit to bring my ribs closer to my hip bone and bring my elbow down a little bit, but it would be the same. Here. Now I've deflected this and I'm in position for my counterattack. All of these will have the same counterattack for the most part. So if we go back to face, I'm going to come palm toward me, arm up, bring my hand over. It's called tensho, but I just call it monkey grip. I just want to get control of that arm as I move to the outside of this attack. This way. So I deflected and got this monkey grip in place to gain some control. Because she's going to try to get this arm back. So pull the arm back. And I want to be able to intercept. I don't need to really catch it or capture it. That's not the point. The point is to make her think about what's going on with her arm. Then I can make my counterattack. If I need to slide back slightly or shift off center, then I can do that. If they have longer reach, I can always step in. So the attack comes to the chin. 1, get this around here. Now I can make my counterattack. So bam, striking across on the opponent. Shifting off center is what we want to try to do. If they're coming straight at us, that second punch is going to be going straight too. Most people are going to throw that first punch, and then they're going to throw a second punch immediately afterwards. Their brain's going to tell them to do that before they even move. So even if I block that first punch, that second punch is going to try to launch. So throw 1, 2, and I'm off to the side. I don't have to worry about this. Now, could they hook punch and come in on me? Yeah, but that's an absorbing punch. I'll just take that. They're not going to get me very hard. So we're coming across, we're getting that arm out of the way by shifting our weight slightly to the side, and then lifting the elbow and pointing it to the target we want to hit. That just depends on what they gave us. And then extend the arm as hard as we can, this way. If we were to go much faster, so, this way, and make that attack. All I have to do is get out of the way. If I'm really fast in my shift, I could evade. But even if I'm evading, I'm still going to make this movement, because maybe I'm not that fast. I don't know. So as it comes in again, boom, 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 this way here, and strike. Really fast. Okay. And the same thing would be applied if she punched lower. Same motion. I can also go straight in. I don't have to move to the side. If I'm freaked out, I could always go straight in. And that's going to end up in a completely different situation. And what typically happens is she's going to run into me. So that front stance is very important. I'm not going to do this fast. We'll do it nice and slow so you can just see what's going on. That punch comes in. I go straight into it here. If she were running in fast, like she did before, she would run straight into me. And then we'd be in a kind of a clash. What do I do with my down block? The way we practice it is we use it as this feeling like, get off me. So from here, I'm going to push up with my arm, spread apart my body, and try to push back on her to get her off me. And how effective will that be? Depends on how strong I am, how fast I react. But remember, in this kata, the intention is, and the attitude is, I'm bigger than her. So if she runs into me like that and I shove her off, I should be quite successful. If she did that to me, it wouldn't work. But this is not the kata for her to do against me. Now, what about knife hand block? Knife hand block allows us to move to the inside. So here we saw this punch coming in, and I'm defending to the outside. Then I get some distance here, and I make that cut. If I go to the inside, same arm, and I turn, and I defend myself, and I get this grip in place, now I'm moving in here. I'm in a danger zone, because that arm can destroy me, and I'm in big trouble. So I need to defend against that arm. And if I'm way inside here, doing a full strike isn't going to be effective because I'm linear to her. So if I'm on the outside, it's no problem. If I step, I can be on the outside. So I can let her go past me. If I step on the inside, we end up clashing into one another. If I have good grappling and throwing skills, that might be a wonderful thing. But the idea is, punch comes in, I drop to the inside. I need to maintain my distance. I don't want to go forward like a front stance. So I keep my back stance to retain distance. Now I go for that monkey grip. If I'm super fast, I can make a cut to the neck. So it would look like this. So punch comes in, here, boom. But remember, when she threw that first punch as a violent predator, she also threw that punch. Because she's thinking bang, bang. So even if I block this arm and go to strike, her brain won't, it's going to take about a quarter of a second for her brain to process, do something different. Which means that arm's going to come anyway. If I get enough violence on this arm, that one will lose its energy. So it won't hurt quite as much if I screw up the attack. But some of these young violent predators are super fast. So they can knock you out. So that arm comes in, and then this arm comes out. So throw a punch, yep. So I get this bump, bump kind of attack. I have to be ready for that. Arm comes in, boom. Now I go here. Remember earlier I said there's no block, there's only attack. This is not a fourth form of blocking. This is an attack. I want to attack either the radial nerve in the forearm or the biceps muscle as I come in here. Bang. So if I can smack that biceps muscle super hard, then I can diminish that arm slightly. If I can do that 2 or 3 times in the process of a defense encounter, this person starts to lose interest in me as a victim. Of course, if they're hell-bent on killing me for whatever reason, then it won't matter much, because with the adrenaline, they're not going to feel a lot of pain. And the only way this is going to scare them away is if all they wanted was my wallet or a woman, a purse. But enough pain, they'll usually go away. So I make that attack, that hurts. Diminishes the arm. Even if they use it again, it's still diminished. They just don't know it. So knife hand block and downward block are making the same actions. The only difference is open hand versus closed hand. The down block is best used whenever I'm moving to the outside, although it works on the inside. Knife hand block's best on the inside, although it will work on the outside. So I can do it on the outside, no problem. I'll just slide over slightly. Let's say we have the same attack coming in, and I'm going to use knife hand block. I can go this way. So I block here, same action as always, as I step sideways, and then the knife hand block is a strike to the elbow or to the triceps, and I can make that attack. Remember, I'm attacking the attacking limb. I'm not trying to block anymore. As soon as I got to here, I'm safe. The attack is over as far as I'm concerned. That's a gratuitous attack. Now I'm just trying to hurt your arm because you came at me. So it's boom, bam, smack that arm and hit them. Now I can push that arm down and come in for my second attack. So we have, these attacks can work in either direction. And that's a beautiful thing because as a white belt learning Heian Kata, the one thing I hear the most is, how am I going to remember which of these to do? Like, don't worry about it. They work all the time. So let's say I'm just doing, all I know is down block. So somebody comes at me, they get in that pre-fight position. I'm like, look, I don't want any trouble. And they throw a punch with either arm. I just bring that arm up to my ear, and I've deflected the attack. Then bang, smack into them. If that other arm comes, that's fine, just turn, and then attack that arm and hit them. If I get in close, I should open my hands, be a little more freestyle. But it doesn't matter if I come in this way or if I come in this way. Any attack along the center line, whether linear or circular, this will make the defense. Now, what about above the chin? You notice all of these she's been punching to the chin or below. And that's where this works. If you were punching toward my eyes, this isn't really much help. So we have ageuke, rising block is what we call it, but it's really just a framing tool. And boxers use this all the time. Boxers get in and they frame against the opponent, and they block with a rising block quite a bit. So that's what we're using it for as well. If she punches high up on the face, I just have to lift my hand, lift my elbow. So again, you can just stand right there. So she throws I'm in my fence position. She throws a high punch. I just lift the elbow. Don't try to lift the arm this way. That's lovely in Kihon. But in defense, all I need to do is pop the elbow up. Shoulder's very good at that. There's very little mass to move. The only mass I'm moving is this part of my arm. It's just popping up. If I try to move the whole arm, now I have this big piece of meat out in space I have to control at the same time as I lift my arm. If I just pop the arm, it's almost like I put my hand on a table and just lifted my arm as a lever. So bang. Now I can defend against that, and then I can drive in right afterwards. So punch comes in, slow. I'm here. I just lift the arm this way, and as soon as I'm done, or while I'm doing it, I just drive in and frame. And now I push the head back, get their face to look up, maybe close their eyes, and push back against them. Now I've got this to fight against. So I can use a close punch, elbow strike, step-in punch, because if she steps back quickly, because that freaked her out, I'll just do a step-in punch, bang, game's over. I can open the hand or close the hand. So if I'm here and it comes in, you can go on, and then when I'm doing that framing, I can leave the hand open, come in underneath, and strike with the bottom of my hand, which is what the kata is really doing. If I just frame over the top, that's fine. Notice I get this exposed. Now I can step in for rising block number 2, bam, and smash into it. And all I'm doing is 1, 2, in this fashion. If we look at it just kind of a key home point of view, it would be just step in through a punch. 1 here, and then the second one here, this way. I can also take the 4th move or 5th move in the Heian Shodan and turn it into an attack. Punch comes to face, look, I don't want any trouble. Lift the arm. Now I can just pull the arm down and hammer fist down. This is just nothing more than down block. Bang. That could clear the arm this way. That could clear the arm and strike the shoulder. Or I could clear the arm and strike the head or the face. Again, it's the bottom of the fist, so I don't care what I hit. I'm probably not going to hurt myself. The only thing on her body that can hurt me is her teeth. So as long as I smack something, I can jar her loose and open her up for another attack. So think of all the blocks as an attack in every kata, and it'll change your attitude. So it doesn't matter what she does. If my arms go away from my body, I want them to be hitting something and trying to hurt it. That way I can start winning. If something comes in super fast, I'm not going to try to do a block like we traditionally think of. It just doesn't make any sense and none of them work, and that's why all the Shotokan people complain that we do all these Kihon drills, and then when we spar, we throw it all out the window because none of it works. It's true, none of it does work if we are trying to do silly blocks. It's like if you just throw some punches. So 1, 2, that's not going to work because you're going to be there blocking for the rest of your life. I need to go in while I deflect or absorb, or I can avoid and go in at the same time, or I need to get off the railroad tracks and get off to the side so I can let most of that energy go past me, and then I can use their energy coming in as my counterattack energy. I don't need a lot of strength. If she comes in really fast, step back. So if she comes in with that punch super fast, do I need a really strong hook punch to do any damage? I don't think so. I come in again. Boom. She's doing most of that work for me. So as long as I can stabilize and get the arm in position, I can do some pretty good damage. Will it knock her out? Probably not, but remember, I'm bigger than her in this kata, so it's not going to feel good. So that is the basics of receiving, uke, and why we don't back up. If you back up, you're just going to back up forever. There's nothing wrong with learning to walk backwards, even run backwards, because you might have multiple opponents, or you might need a moment to get your mind together, because it's a shock that somebody comes up to just attack you. And if they just come up and get in your space, like, well, learning to back up quickly is very important because you need to lift your heels, step back so you don't trip on anything. And it's a skill to move backwards quickly without falling. But I don't want to go too far, just enough to get my brain in the game and then get ready to fight. And yeah, so don't back up. The other thing is if I'm trying to back up and block simultaneously, it just takes such a high level of skill. I'm not saying some people can't pull it off. I'm saying if you're training people that are doing 2 or 3 days a week and they want to learn to defend themselves, they're never going to get that good at it. So just teach them. Deflect, evade, or absorb a punch properly and move in or to the side while they're doing it so they can put the counterattack on target. If they do that and they do it with an extreme violence of action, they should be able to overwhelm the opponent because they're not prepared for that. Remember, these attackers are looking for victims. They're not looking for a fight. So if we bring the fight to them with everything we've got, that usually puts an end to it unless they are on some weird drugs and just wanting to hurt you for no reason. But even so, that gives us the upper hand. So try these defenses. Try bringing the hand to the ear, because that is important. Cover your body, and then you're in attack mode. Bang. Bring the open hand to the ear, that's fine, same thing. Cover everything, you're in attack mode. These knife hand blocks typically are for being in close. We see them all the time in kata, far away. So they know what they're doing when they're just doing it like this, because you're just in too tight for anything else to work well. Use that rising block as a frame, just pop the elbow up, defend that upper strike, and then learn to go into another attack. Best thing is going into a frame so you can shove them back, because that's a big surprise when it happens to people. The other thing, of course, is to, if you get caught dead foot, you can just turn the hand over by bringing the elbow down and strike, just like we see in Heian Shodan. And so that's it. There's really just 3 techniques in Heian Shodan. There's this thing, there's this thing, and there's this thing. If you can get those 3 against a smaller opponent, when I say smaller, I mean mostly mass, not height, you should be able to come home safely. So, thank you.